Well, everyone, if you are into American motorcycles, there has never been a better time. Harley's coming out with the new Pan America. Indian's always been there making some awesome motorcycles with some awesome engines. And now Buell is back. Well, sort of. But also, yes. Look, okay, Buell is back. They have just announced that they are going to be making more motorcycles, which is great. EBR went into receivership. Buell's had a big history with Harley Davidson. Today, we are taking a look at the new Buell motorcycles that is going to be coming out. Stick around, it's gonna be a good one. So Buell's coming back and is promising to come back with 10 different motorcycle models over the next couple of years. If you go on their website right now, I think it's buellmotorcycle.com, it's a little wonky. This is definitely not a sort of, super polished flagship kind of, up-to-date website. This kind of looks like Suzuki's old website. And it looks like the only thing they've got going on here is like sort of 3D renderings of the new 1190 RX they want to do. They've got a very brief thing on this super touring motorcycle here that they want to put out with the ADV kind of idea, the package behind that. And so we've got a website here that is very light on details and information except for the old Buells that were already being made. The old EBR motorcycles are already being made in the earlier part of the 2010s. So diving into a bit of a backstory here. Why do I like Buell and why do I want them to do well? Well, number one, they're an independent motorcycle company, an American motorcycle company. They have some cool, innovative ideas. And to be honest, before I rode an XB9SX a couple months ago for a comparison video, I literally would have never given Buell a second thought. But something about that bike really spoke to me. The handling on that bike was just sublime. The chassis was really intelligently thought about. It was a motorcycle I could tell that someone who really understood how a motorcycle was meant to handle built it. Now, it had an absolute dog of an engine, but that's Harley Davidson's fault. So I think Buell can bring a lot to the table for American motorcycling, but you might be saying, well, why did they go into receivership if they were so great, and why did they partner with Harley Davidson and all this other stuff? So a bit of a backstory here. Erik Buell was a racer back in the 70s, a guy that built his own motorcycles, did his own thing, and he got snatched up by Harley Davidson to start building motorcycles for them under this weird like bedfellow relationship that they had. Harley Davidson kind of owned Buell, but also not really owned Buell. It was like a 51% or a 49% stake, I can't remember it exactly. But in 2009, when the financial crash happened, Harley Davidson decided it would be a good idea to cut Buell from their lineup and focus on their core products, such as their big baggers and all those kinds of motorcycles that are obviously much more profit rich than the Buell motorcycles, which I think was a very silly idea. But anyways, in 2010, Buell came back with EBR, Erik Buell Racing motorcycles, did that for several years, but then it went into receivership. Unfortunately, he bankrupted the company. Well, Erik Buell didn't bankrupt the company, he didn't do it on purpose, but it was this sort of thing where it just didn't pan out the way that everyone thought it would. But Buell is back once again, but the important thing to note here is that this time it is without Erik Buell. Erik Buell is currently working on Fuel motorcycles or Fuel bicycles. It's F-U-E-L-L. That's a line of electric bicycles and electric motorcycles that Buell is working on right now. And he has no involvement with the new Buell motorcycles. But Bill Melvin, the current CEO of Buell, was the one, he had his family purchased all the EBR assets back in 2016. So what are they up to? Well, if you look at the website, it doesn't seem like a whole lot. It looks like they've got, like I said, just like a 3D rendering of the 1190 RX, and they're trying to push this super touring thing. But here's a quote from Bill Melvin of what they're kind of thinking of doing. He says, "We will have high-end bikes that will have a price that matches the performance and will also be unique and exciting and fill sections that other American companies don't. And then we're also working on more affordable platforms." So basically, it looks like they're going to be trying to do everything the opposite of what Harley Davidson does. It seems to me that they want to build sport bikes, they want to build entry-level motorcycles, and even some off-road motorcycles, as we're going to cover in today's video. So it seems like what they're trying to do is something very different than what American companies are doing right now. Because American motorcycling companies are pretty much always afraid of pissing off or losing their core touring kind of big bagger customer, which I think is a damn shame. You gotta take some risks, and that's why I think it's great that Harley's making the Pan America, but this video is about Buell. Buell also seems very committed and interested in the off-road markets, as I mentioned. This interview that I read on Revzilla's Common Tread with Bill Melvin, and looking over the website and some of the stuff that Bill Melvin is talking about and his background in off-road riding, lends me to think that they are very interested in making an adventure bike, touring bikes, maybe even dual sport bikes, maybe competition motocross bikes. Who can say, maybe middleweight adventure bikes, something to compete against the almighty Tenere 700 or KTM 890 adventure platform motorcycles, and that would be pretty awesome. Now, for bikes that they actually have available right now, the 1190 RX is still an absolute beast of a super bike, makes like 180 horsepower and 415 pounds ready to ride. Very capable machine, but the question is not necessarily how capable the 1190 RX is, but rather, can Buell create a super bike that effectively lures away the audience that is looking at something like a V4S or an S1000RR or a Yamaha R1? That type of clientele might not want something like a Buell because they may perceive it as an axe when they're looking for something that more resembles a scalpel. Maybe they want something that's more technology rich, something that is a little bit more bespoke, something that's a little bit more higher end, because whether you like it or not, people who buy Ducatis and BMWs typically do so because they're status symbols as well. And I don't know if Buell has that status symbol quality, other than when you show up at a track day and you've got a Buell, you're probably gonna get a lot of questions from people. I know I certainly would wanna ask and know about someone who's brought a Buell to a track day or a race. So on adventure bikes, Bill Melvin says, we are working on advancing our rider aids, but this is more of a rider's bike, speaking about the super touring bike that they're doing. So it doesn't have all the features that are more for a middle level rider. These are more for advanced riders. And I thought this quote was interesting because it tells me that Buell is interested in building motorcycles that are more focused on purity, more focused on the riding experience, more focused on the actual nuts and bolts of just making a good, honest motorcycle, which I can really appreciate. However, in the adventure market, that is the exact opposite of what you should be doing, in my opinion. You look at bikes like the V4 Multistrada, the new Pan America, the KTM 1290 Super Adventure. These are basically spaceship SUVs on two wheels. These bikes are ridiculously laden with technology. They are ridiculously over the top with their features and benefits and screens and heated cup holders and heated dashes and heated double seats. And the thing basically drives itself. So for me, the customer who's looking at a full-sized adventure motorcycle, an adventure touring motorcycle, wants all of those features. They want all the comfort, they want all the doodads, they want all the doohickeys, and that to me is what they are looking for. So I don't really understand that. But further from Bill, he says, I like to ride off-road. Really, one of the most fun ones is something that we're working on. I rode it all last summer, and it was awesome. It's something smaller and it's a ball. The timing on that is a little bit out, but it's great, super fun. That's the one I smiled and laughed the most on last summer. So is this a dual sport that Buell is working on? A small adventure bike? What are they cooking up over here? I'd be really curious to find out. But overall, I'm wishing this new Buell brand some big success. It feels strange to do it without the guy himself, Erik Buell, but if that's what it takes to create a successful company, then so be it. I personally think that Buell has a tremendous uphill battle when it comes to actually creating a solid and competitive motorcycle company. That is not an easy task, especially when Buell is laden with histories of, receivership and failures and bikes that, were great, but very niche and kind of culty and, very specific independent thinking people like the Buells. They weren't a mass appeal kind of motorcycle. But again, having ridden an XB9 SX recently, I thought the thing was great. For a bike that was about 11 years old, the handling was just sublime. I liked the rear sets, I liked the way the bars felt. Compared to the MT-09 we had it up against, I preferred the XB9 XS, to be honest. So I think the one good thing though is that the Buell name has a lot of cachet. People really know who Erik Buell is. They know about Buell motorcycles. They sold thousands and thousands of these bikes, and so there's an existing fan base and clientele for this name of bikes that are out right now. But What do you guys think? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Which bike would you want to ride from these new line of Buell motorcycles? Personally for me, I have always wanted to swing a leg over the 1190 RX, the original EBR one. It was basically America's Panigale, and I was always very interested in that motorcycle and never got the opportunity to ride one. But I did ride a KTM RC8R back at Road Atlanta in 2019. If it's anything like that, then it would be just absolutely awesome. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about these new Buell motorcycles. We'll be sure to drop a link in the description to their website so you can take a look and see the slight jankiness of the website, but also check out some of the models that they have. And we're wishing all the best for Buell. We'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Oh, hey, you're still here. I can't believe you made it to the end of the video. Not many people do. Just for you, I have a little treat. Hit this link over here. Check out the next video on the Yammie Noob catalog. What's gonna happen in it? I don't really know. Maybe there's a boost in it. Maybe there's some cool wheelies. Maybe there's some fun memes. Probably. Who can say?